Hi everyone, welcome to WION Live broadcast with me, Susan Tehrani. We're coming to you live from New York City. First, let's get you up to speed with this hour's headlines and then straight to our first story. Nikki Haley will suspend her Republican presidential primary bid after major losses in the Super Tuesday primaries. Haley is expected to make an announcement later this morning. Haley, who lost all primary contests except Vermont, no longer has a viable path to the Republican nomination. For now, it's a Trump versus Biden rematch in the U.S. presidential election after the president and former president sweep statewide primary nominations across the United States. As the Gaza war rages on, U.S. President Joe Biden puts the onus for a truce on Hamas. No breakthrough in peace talks, even though the Cairo talks have been extended by a day. Biden says he hopes a ceasefire will be in place by Monday. Sweden takes part in NATO military drills for the very first time as the country prepares to join the alliance. Swedish and Finnish Marines take part in amphibious operations in the Norwegian Arctic as part of the NATO Nordic Response 2024. Indian Navy commissions the first batch of the newly inducted MH-60R Seahawk multi-role choppers, marking what the Navy called a pivotal moment in India's defense modernization journey. The helicopters will improve operational capabilities in the Indian Ocean region. China accuses the United States of using the Philippines as a pawn in the South China Sea as hostilities between the two Asian nations escalate over their territorial dispute in the region. And will divine intervention do the trick for England with the three lions battling for pride in Dharamsala? Ravi Chandran, Ashwin, and Johnny Bairstow will play their milestone 100th test on Thursday. The stage is set for a rematch between Joe Biden and Donald Trump in the presidential elections this November. Donald Trump's only competitor for the Republican Party presidential nomination, Nikki Haley, is expected to end her presidential campaign later this morning. She's expected to make a formal announcement a short while from now. It was reported first by the Wall Street Journal that Nikki Haley is set to drop out of the party's presidential race after a series of second-place finishes on Super Tuesday. She trails behind Donald Trump in all 16 states where primaries were held, except for Vermont, where she picked up some delegates. Donald Trump is sailing into a battle against President Joe Biden. California, which offers the highest number of delegates, went to Trump. Texas and North Carolina offered the second and third largest troves of delegates on Tuesday, with 235 between them. Trump also won Alabama, Arkansas, Colorado, Maine, and Massachusetts. Speaking to his supporters at his Mar-a-Lago home, the former president, who is in the thick of many legal cases, called the win conclusive. Take a listen.
Well, thank Thank you very much. They call it Super Tuesday for a reason. This is a big one. And they tell me, the pundits and otherwise, that there's never been one like this. There's never been anything so conclusive. This was an amazing night, an amazing day. It's been an incredible period of time in our country's history. It's been sad in so many ways, but I think it's going to be inspiring because we're going to do something that, frankly, nobody's been able to do for a long time.
Biden has won Democratic nominating contests in all 14 states. This includes the state of Iowa, where people voted by mail. Biden, however, lost the American Samoa Democratic Caucus to entrepreneur Jason Palmer. Okay, so it was a big Super Tuesday. It was a big Super Tuesday here in the United States last night. As we go into Wednesday, a lot of questions about what will be Nikki Haley's plan. Of course, she was Trump's former UN ambassador. She was the former governor of South Carolina, but she didn't pick up as many delegates that her campaign hoped for. The main question now is whether her supporters will rally against the former president or not, something that many believe may not happen, considering the fact that those votes were opposition votes to the former president. Now, Haley represented a part of the Republican Party that many believe is probably not very popular for now. It's the traditional Republican Party, and the Republican Party right now rallying around Donald Trump is more populist. So we'll have to wait and see what she says in her announcement. It will be very important. Meanwhile, neither her or President Biden made any speeches or announcement following the Super Tuesday primary elections. It was only the former president, which we just brought to you, and his statements. Many believe that that was an attempt by the former president to bring the nation together. He talked a lot about cooperation, and he's now solely focused on his Democrat rival, Joe Biden. It's important to note that Donald Trump has said time and again that he believes that Joe Biden, quote unquote, will not make it to November. There were some speculations that perhaps former First Lady Michelle Obama would step in. Those were purely speculative. Just a few days ago, her office put out a statement saying that the former First Lady has no desire to take part in any presidential election. So a lot at stake. Now all eyes are going to be on the State of Union address by President Joe Biden. That's expected to happen tomorrow night, Thursday at around 9 p.m. What we'll be looking for perhaps is Biden's policies moving forward, not only domestic, but also foreign policy. Remember, his speech comes at a time where the Gaza war is going on, the war between Russia and Ukraine, and then a very tense situation with China as well. Regardless, a lot to look at, a lot to talk about, but let's talk about what's going to happen at the State of the Union, who was invited, who was not, and who's snubbed. So even as the U.S. has shown an all-out support for Ukraine in the war against Russia, new efforts to build bridges with Kyiv and Vladimir Putin's political enemy, Alexei Navalny's widow, have failed to take off. According to reports, Ukraine's First Lady, Olena Zelensky, has declined the White House's invitation to participate in the State of the Union, while another invitee, Yulia Navalny, widow of Russian opposition leader Alexei Navalny, also snubbed the White House invite, citing fatigue as a factor. The initial plan was to seat First Lady Jill Biden alongside Olena Zelensky and Yulia Navalny, aiming to present a powerful image of both women, symbolizing resistance against the Russian leader. However, Navalny's potential attendance raised concern among Ukrainian officials. Despite her late husband, Alexei Navalny, being widely revered as an anti-corruption advocate who bravely opposed Putin, Navalny's past statement regarding Crimea's annexation by Russia in 2014 have cast a shadow over his legacy in Ukraine. Even while Navalny later supported Ukraine's internationally recognized borders, many Ukrainians continue to view the Kremlin critic as out of step with their goals. Although, according to the report, Ukraine's First Lady said that she declined the invitation due to prior commitments.
Героям слава! Героям слава!
The United States and the Jordanian army jointly airdropped over 36,000 meals into northern Gaza on Tuesday. The joint mission came days after the World Health Organization said children were dying of starvation in the north. An estimated 300,000 Palestinians are living with little food or clean water. The aid airdrop, however, has sparked discussions with various humanitarian organizations saying that it's just not enough to meet the needs of the region. Airdrops also indicate failure of an effort on the ground. Since last month, Gaza has seen over 20 airdrops of aid in coordination with Israeli military, France, the United Arab Emirates, Egypt, the United States, and Jordan. They all have airdropped aid in the besieged enclave. Initially employed in World War II, airdrops were last carried out in South Sudan in 2021. According to World Food Program, airdrops are 7 times more expensive compared to ground-delivered aid. The increased costs include aircraft, fuel, and personnel. WFP added that only small quantities can be delivered with each flight in comparison to what a convoy of trucks can bring. The International Committee of the Red Cross also stressed the need to control distribution to prevent people from consuming inappropriate or unsafe items. According to the agency, drop zones should ideally be large, open areas no smaller than a football field. That is why deliveries have often been aimed at Gaza's coastline. Aid trucks have been entering the south of Gaza through the Egypt-controlled Rafah crossing and the Israeli-controlled Kerem Shalom crossing. But in recent months, the north, that was the focus of Israel's ground offensive in the first phase, has been largely cut off from assistance. In February, the World Food Program suspended food deliveries to North Gaza because aid convoys, quote, endured complete chaos and violence due to the collapse of civil order, including violent looting. Last week, over 100 Palestinians were killed as crowds rushed towards an aid convoy escorted by Israeli forces. Traders may have felt more confident about a year ago when Apple decided to end its development of its electronic cars and redirect the funds to AI programs. A year on, the opposite may be true. The stock's decline has worsened, despite CEO Tim Cook assuring shareholders that the business will break new ground in artificial intelligence. The firm has been tight-lipped about its AI initiatives. The stock's 9% year-to-date decline has pushed its market worth below that of Microsoft, indicating mounting investor impatience. Apple's pivot to AI comes when iPhone sales have plunged. Sales growth will not be significantly aided by its most recent and largest product launch, the Vision Pro headset. The mega-cap company is losing the confidence of Wall Street. Just recently, Apple was taken off the conviction list and Goldman Sachs' a tactical outperformed list. Ever since 2020, the company's ratio of buy ratings to hold and sell has been the lowest. Apple does move away from EVs, and it has broadly been welcomed. However, analysts are looking for the company to release its own generative AI product. Still, for bulls, the firm's potential to capture public imagination with an AI enhancement means that investors should be patient. A bipartisan group of U.S. lawmakers has put forward a new bill targeting China's ByteDance and its popular short video app TikTok. The legislation introduced on Tuesday aims to force ByteDance to divest TikTok within 6 months or face a U.S. ban, citing concerns over national security due to its Chinese ownership. Republican Mike Gallagher and Democrat Raja Krishnamurthy are leading the charge with over a dozen lawmakers supporting the measure. Gallagher said that this is my message to TikTok: break up with the Chinese Communist Party or lose access to your American users. America's foremost adversary has no business controlling the dominant media platform in the United States. Now, under the proposed bill, ByteDance will have 165 days to divest TikTok. That means ByteDance needs to sell off or get rid of TikTok assets like stocks or properties. Failure to comply will result in app stores like Apple and Google being barred from offering TikTok or providing hosting services to ByteDance-controlled apps. However, individual users will not face enforcement action under the bill. TikTok, which boasts over 170 million users in the U.S., has strongly opposed the legislation. It argues that the bill infringes on the First Amendment rights of millions of Americans and jeopardizes small businesses. A bipartisan proposal is set to undergo a vote in the House Energy and Commerce Committee on Thursday. If passed, the bill would grant the president new authority to designate apps posing national security risks and comply their divestment. Apps with over 1 million annual active users under the control of foreign entities would fall under the bill's purview. Efforts to address concerns about TikTok's Chinese ownership date back to last year, when Congress sought to eliminate risks associated with the app. The Committee on Foreign Investment in the United States had earlier demanded ByteDance to sell its TikTok shares or face a potential ban. Well, ahead of Women's Day on March 8th, veteran star Helen Mirren has been honored with her own Barbie doll. Announced as a role model by toymaker Mattel, Oscar-winning actor Helen Mirren was in for a surprise when she saw the Barbie modeled on her for the very first time. The doll sports an iconic outfit she wore at the Cannes red carpet in 2023. Dressed in a cornflower blue gown by Delcourt, the doll also flaunts blue hair. But that's not all. The doll also carries one of Mirren's trademark red carpet accessories, a blue fan, and an Oscar statue miniature.
Yeah, now she's wearing her
boots.
Kind of go-go
yeah,
boots.
Her
like
go-go boots. Yes, exactly.
Of creating a one-of-a-kind Barbie, of creating your one-of-a-kind Helen Mirren Barbie.
Called blue. Yeah. That is a blue that I particularly really love. It's like the blue of a beautiful summer. Well, I love the fact that